It came into view first as a dull blue glow, and then as a less dull blue glow. The brightness crept up over what I guess was a few hours, and had Fido not given me a warning ping, I could easily have mistaken it for a sunrise. The kitchenette window is filled with an ethereal light, but the obstruction is nowhere to be seen, so I lunge across the narrow passage to my bunk and make it to the opposite window in 6 uncomfortably large steps. I want to try and bring that down to 4 steps by the time we reach Zed, but that might be pushing it. If I mute the gravity, I could do it in 1, but that feels intensely like cheating.
Gravity. Putting you back in personal gravity systems. Gravity is a registered trademark of the AUP Corporation.
I ask Fido to run a temperature check. The bulb nearest to me flashes obediently, and from the kitchenette I hear a sequence of beeps I don't understand. But the wall panel above my bed blinks into life and assembles a number. 14 degrees centigrade. Well below the average I like to keep for comfort in growing plants. And even as I watch the number, it drops. I ask Fido to run diagnostics on the ship and watch as the flickering panel confirms that nothing is technically wrong. I pause and feel myself sway against the ship from a ripple of discharged gravity. No, not gravity. Gravity. Real gravity. Like the ship is caught in it. Fido panics. The running trail of LEDs in the walls and the ceiling that mark his whereabouts start flashing recklessly up and down in a sequence that indicates Fido is essentially chasing his tail. I move to the flight deck, but I'm not ready for the view in the ship's windshield. My first impression is just blue, an immense blueness, a blue so large that it fills my sight and makes the entire universe around it seem smaller, and so bright. I forget the true colour of things as they are bathed in the glow of this enormous, cold star. And I see it, the same time I feel it. It is cold, and it makes everything look and feel cold. It's ice. To look at it feels impossible, because it is impossible. I don't think it cares if I think it makes sense. As my ship creeps closer, the dark corners of space being edged out of sight by this giant snowball, I see leaps of frozen flame, not flickering, but silently gleaming. Something in my brain, the part that deals with protocols and procedures, makes my arm reach for the incident sheets to file a report immediately. The other part of my brain that deals with survival reaches for the wheel. The result of which is I'm now standing in the flight deck with my arms stretched in an L shape, and I can't make myself do anything else. This happens for a dangerously long time. Meanwhile, Fido's lights are still skittering in their distress pattern in the bunk. Then something happens. I can't say for sure what the something is, but it happens. And I feel myself pulled suddenly sideways into the pilot's seat. I fall awkwardly and land side saddle, but I get the rough idea, and I begin to steer the ship away from the collision course. I call for Fido. Nothing. I shiver in my chair and shrug off a chill. We'll have to double our next batch of fuel, I remind myself as I start to divert more power into thermal regulation. I call out again, but this time I pat my knees encouragingly. Fido, come here! Good boy! A happy chirping beep emits from the speakers in the kitchenette, and the trail of lights leading into the flight deck each glow in sequence until the panel on the control desk snaps eagerly to life. Fido boy, I need you to tell me how big the star, the obstruction, is. The panel goes static whilst Fido thinks. There is no one to hide my surprise from when the number finally appears on the screen. I frown stupidly at the window. The number displayed can't possibly be right. It's barely bigger than a planet, I muse out loud. I look back at the panel, then back again to the window. Yet for a small size and impossible cold, I was definitely looking at a star. Incandescent swirls of icy plasma frozen in empty space, yet still a star. My ship, now swaying off to the right, is still happily tied to its gravity. I bite my lip and think quickly. It was a simple enough calculation. This ship isn't the fastest I could have been given, but it can surprise you. If I fly around in orbit, we'll reach the other side in 14 hours. I sigh, my eyes locked on the window. 14 hours seems a criminally short time to be in the presence of a miracle. Fido's lights blink expectantly at me, and I smile at him as an idea takes hold. A short time indeed, but at least we'll have the best seats in the house. What follows is several minutes of urgent but boring tapping of buttons while I instruct the ship exactly where to go and how to get there without me being behind the wheel. With a satisfying final tap, a green light acknowledges that the autopilot is reporting for duty. I unlock the chair and march out of the flight deck, calling backwards to the nearest sensor. Fido! We're going for a walk! Perched on the wing of my ship, I watch as an icy world glides by. I'm tethered to the airlock and Fido is with me as a small camera and bulb on the cuff of my suit. From thousands of miles above, we teeter over glassy peaks. A never-ending panorama of giant mountains floating idly past, seemingly indifferent to its own impossibility. Every pinnacle, every protrusion and ridge, clear as crystal and shimmering in its own internal starlight. I reach out as if to brush my hands across them, and light glitters around my fingers as I wriggle them through the air. Fido's light blinks happily. With one eye closed, I imagine my outstretched hand plucking the star out of the sky and cradling its glow close to me. I imagine feeling the crisp cold as I admire each mountain, no bigger than an icicle. I'd have to hang it back in the sky before it melted. My arm drops to my side, and I stay on the wing for what seems like hours. I'm engulfed in a sky of ice, and I forget about the empty space behind me. Blue. The universe is blue now. My fingers and toes are numb, and my eyes ache, but I'm scared to blink in case my impossible star disappears. Blue. And silence. And cold. And silence. It seems to ache on forever. Infinite glass mountains in an infinite blue abyss. Fido notices my yawn before I do, and his bulb flashes anxiously at me. I nod quietly at him. 5 more minutes, I whisper. But I know I could stay forever. And it just wouldn't be enough.